And away we go. It is the nightcap. A victorious nightcap as the Bearcats win 93-83 in Orlando against the Knights of Gold. What the hell was that? This show brought to you, as always, by our good friends at Mio's Pizza. After a win, you're allowed to go to Mio's before the game Saturday, 6 p.m. tip, and have some celebratory Cincy Lights with our good friends at Mio's. Much better than the alternative. They will get you taken care of. Great food, great pizza. Love the steak hoagies. The wedge fries are excellent. And like I said, ice cold Cincy Light on tap. They will get you taken care of. All right, Aaron. Well, I know we don't normally we haven't experienced this in a while, but we get to have a show after a win. How about that? I'm not gonna lie. I decide you can take the screen away, Aaron.
Well, I was waiting for you to announce the score, and then I was going to take the screen away.
I did. 93-83. I said it in the beginning.
Oh, sorry, I was typing a tweet.
MA says, let's all get drunk. I decided not to have some beers tonight during the game because it's been depressing, and I don't need alcohol to make me more depressed. So I decided not to, and I said to Kelsey with about 4 minutes left in the game, I should have drank tonight. So stone cold sober, MA. And I've got a meeting tomorrow, so probably wouldn't be wise to start at 9:30, although it's tempting, but I'm not gonna. I'm gonna resist the urge. Aaron, they played with heart. They played with effort. They were relentless, attacking the rim all night, even with a one of the better shot blockers in the league, patrolling the paint. They had somebody score 20. They had somebody else score 19. Another guy with 16, another guy with 15. It's exactly what we've been talking about for weeks and weeks and weeks. You need your best players to play well. Day Thomas played well. Dylan Mitchell played great. Jizzle James played well. Aziz Bandago played well. Dan Skillings had a key 6-point stretch in the second half with a 3 and then an and 1. Tyler Betsy hit a pair of threes at a critical time early in the second half. It all came together, Aaron. It all came together. The Bearcats win 93-83. Take it away, buddy.
That was probably Day Thomas's best game as a Bearcat.
Right up there.
He was doing everything.
Only 2 in the second half, but he ended up with 6 assists. That's a situation where, okay, you have a big first half. The other team focuses on taking you away. Can you still be productive? And he was still productive.
Dylan Mitchell had arguably his best game as a Bearcat as well. So you got 2 guys having their best games, arguably, as Bearcats. Aziz had a hell of a game. Did everything that was asked of him down low. When the game ended, I would think I was even more mad at this team because this is how they should have been playing. This is the team that we were told we were going to get. I want them to play this pace the rest of the season. I don't want to see this slow dribble up, dribble, half court offense, blah, blah, blah. I fell asleep. I want to see them push tempo the rest of the season. I don't care who they play. I don't care what the final score is. Just make it an exciting brand of basketball because they looked like they were having fun.
Sure. I mean, but let's be honest about something. Let's be reasonable about something. Central Florida allows you to do that. This is how they play. It's easy to say run up and down when the other team gets back and they're standing there waiting for you. Central Florida doesn't do that. Kudos to Cincinnati for attacking a weakness of Central Florida, because there have been times this year it felt like, given this opportunity against a team that wants to just run up and down, that Cincinnati would have walked the ball up and down the floor. And they didn't. They attacked early in possession. They took advantage of mismatches. They were aggressive. I agree and we've talked about this, that they do need to do more to push the tempo. But the reality is some of that was circumstantial because this is a UCF team that is not interested in sitting down and guarding you for 30 seconds in the shot clock. They want to get the ball back and go score. So on one hand, hats off to Cincinnati for taking advantage of what UCF allows, that scouting report efficiency, which they have been terrible at times this year. So kudos to Cincinnati on that. But I don't want to get out over our skis thinking that you're able to do this every game, because most teams do not allow you to just get the ball, go straight down the floor, and drive at the rim in under 10 seconds on the shot clock.
Cincinnati plays one of the slowest tempos in all of college basketball. So I don't care. I don't care what you have to say about that. Just push the tempo. It doesn't have to look like this, but you have to go faster than what you've gone all season. I didn't think that this team was capable of scoring 93. They haven't scored this. Their highest scoring game prior to this was Arkansas Pine Bluff. It was in the chat, but I had that stat already ready. But that was the first game of the season. They haven't scored this many points since the first game of the season, Chad. Push the tempo.
It's also the first time they've had anybody score 20 points since the first game of the season against Arkansas Pine Bluff, when Simas Lukosha scored 20.
Kudos to Dede. Dede was shooting lights out. He looked fantastic. He was making moves. He was creating shots for himself. It was a thing of beauty. I was mad watching it at the end of the game because I was told this is what this team was going to look like all season. And for at least a moment this season, we caught it tonight.
Yeah, I mean, how about scoring 40 in the first half, Aaron, while going 1 of 7 from 3? They did not shoot a lot of threes all night. They went 4 of 9 in the second half. So 16 total threes, which has to be one of the season lows for them all year. They're usually up near that 20 range. But they shot 58.5% from the floor. So 33 of 49 for
yes.
59, something like that, whatever, 33 or 49.
Yep.
They got to the rim, like I said. The alley-oop was back because they were out in transition. They were able to get Dylan Mitchell and Aziz Bandego in those advantageous situations. They attacked when UCF tried to go zone, and they hit Dylan Mitchell back door for a pair of alley-oops that kind of forced them from they couldn't really settle into that zone. So it's one of the few times we've seen a team change defenses and Cincinnati attack it. I think that was the key all night, Aaron. And this is why I think this is what you're talking about more than running fast break. They were aggressive offensively all night. They were in attack mode all night.
Even Dan on that and one didn't look like what Dan has looked like this season. He went straight at the rim. He didn't try and do an acrobatic shot. He went straight at the rim. Jizzle went straight at the rim tonight. Dylan, the one hand alley-oop where he just hung there looking around was fantastic. Dede went straight at the rim. Aziz, one dribble, straight at the rim. I loved it. This is what I want to see. There's no reason. And to your point, not shooting many threes, it's not a good shooting team. You don't need to take a ton of threes. You don't need to be, and you said near that 20 mark. I'd challenge that and say they're probably averaging 25 plus this season. It seems like
they're usually like, even when it feels like they have a low 3-point shooting game, they're up near 20. But they didn't have to shoot them today because UCF gave no resistance to them getting into the lane and making things happen.
I don't know, when you're making shots, it opens up the lane. We know that they were making shots. Tyler Betsy with 2 of the 5 made threes tonight. And he looked as comfortable as he's looked in this offense as they were running around in transition. So I don't know what they did in practice that was different this week.
They play dodgeball.
Good. Keep doing it. Do it for 15 minutes a day. I don't care. Just whatever you did, keep doing it. George has to keep betting on opponents. Apparently, I have to keep wearing these shoes because they have not lost when I've worn these shoes. I wore them for the X game. But I don't know. Whatever everyone has been doing, I don't know what shirt Neil Slayton was wearing today or how many times he changed. But again, just everybody write down what you did today, and we'll all keep doing it.
Jeff, I was going to touch on this later, but I'll go ahead and get to it now. That is an elite one-on-one team, UCF. And it's funny because that has become like, it's pretty hard to guard because it's just not how teams play anymore. So it's not, your defense isn't really set up for that. And they have 3 guys that are great at playing in isolation. So that's why they keep scoring in the 80s, because they just take you one-on-one. They find whichever one of those 3 guys has the matchup, they attack the rim and they score. That's why UCF's offense has been, and they do it fast. They are number 1 in the conference in tempo offensively, and it's because they just get it to the ball. They get the ball to one of those 3 guys, and they go at you. It's AAU offense. It's do him. Here's the ball. Do your guy. So it was a little frustrating seeing that. I agree, but that is how UCF plays. That's why we were worried about this game, right? They were going to score 75 plus. Aaron and I talked about it last night. The question was, could Cincinnati score more? The feeling was no, but the end result was yes. So, I agree. The man-to-man, one-on-one defense, was not great, but it was also a byproduct of UCF has got 3 dudes that can just get buckets, and maybe the pure scorer in the league in Keyshawn Hall that can hit threes, 3-level scorer, can hit threes, can get to the rim, can get to the free throw line. He's a menace, but they were able to outdo it. BYU was a quad 1, or BYU at home is not going to be a quad 1 now. You have to be top 30 in the net to be a quad 1 home win. So the only teams that would be a quad 1 home win in the Big 12 are Houston, Arizona, Texas Tech, Kansas, Iowa State, and Baylor. Everybody else is outside the top 30 right now, and would not be quad 1 home wins. So, but I'm just glad to see some confidence. I'm glad to see some aggressiveness, some assertiveness, a team that, and I know this is the byproduct of getting back on track offensively, right? Guys play with a lot more confidence, Aaron, when they're out there scoring 15, 20 points. When nobody can score more than 10, nobody's playing with a whole lot of confidence.
Yeah. And today you saw guys smiling. You saw guys looked focused. They looked dialed in. Even in all facets, offense, defense, free throws. Even if you only shot 12 of 19, it didn't ever feel like it was a horrendous free throw night, despite 63%.
Yeah, I mean, if Jizzle he missed the front end of a 1-on-1 and then missed the next one, it looks like a much better free throw night if he makes those 3 free throws, right? Because then you're at 15 of 20, and you would feel a lot better about yourself then. Then you'd be at 75% and nobody would really be complaining about it. Ultimately, it didn't really do much damage.
It does make you wonder if West tapped into the black arts at some point this week, especially when Dylan leaves the game looking like he has a knee issue, has to be helped off the court, and then comes back magically, just like we saw with Texas Tech, just like we've seen Patrick Mahomes and his dabbling in the black arts and all of that. So I don't know what's going on with all of that. But
so I will say,
I'll take it.
I will say sometimes that's just they get scared, especially in like open court, non-contact like that. Like if you feel something, their brain immediately goes to where our brain goes to, right? Oh no, I just tore my ACL. And then you get with Bob and they do the structural test and check. And the question will be, does it swell up? How does it respond? Where is he at as we head towards Saturday? Because you've got a quick turnaround before you're back at it on Saturday. So, I think it just, in some of those situations, they're just as scared as the fans are, freaking out. Oh no. I don't think it was a pride injury, Alex. His knee buckled as he jumped. Like, he didn't miss the dunk, or like he tried to explode off of that left leg and it gave a little bit on him. And as soon as it does that, I'm telling you, man, those guys immediately know what that means and they think the worst. And then you give them a second to cool down and like, okay, let me get up, let me walk on it. Am I stable? And then you feel a lot better about things.
We all thought the worst.
Yeah.
Every one of us.
And we should. Like,
yes.
When you see those non-contact where it gives on you as the guy tries to plant and explode, you start thinking about Tom Segura.
Can't say at any point during this game did I think of Tom Segura, but
have you never seen that?
Look, we are not all you watching two men in a cave or whatever.
So they did a thing where they had a dunk contest and they had the rim lowered, whatever. So Tom wins the dunk contest and he could quit, but they're like, let's raise it up to 9 and I'm gonna get a dunk in at 9 feet. And as soon as he jumps, his patella explodes. And then he tries to put his arm down to brace himself and he explodes his arm. So he's just laying there looking like the drawing of a dead body on the ground with an exploded knee and a fractured arm. That's what you think. Like when you see a guy, that's what I think when I see a guy start to jump and all of a sudden he just crumbles.
Your present company and your joke is Jeff and Ed. So,
I mean, that's fine. Somebody got it.
All right. Well, that's why we joke.
So thankfully he was able to catch his breath and realize that maybe it was just a scare. But I'm sure it's going to be sore tomorrow without question. But incredible game from Dylan. Just incredible game from Dylan.
Did they say career high for him? Or, I mean, it was at least a season high.
I think it definitely a season high. I don't know if it was career. I'd have to go back and look.
I know that the commentary mentioned something about it, but I can't recall off the top of my head if it was a career high or a season high.
Yeah.
Super efficient, though.
He was. He made a couple like little tough one-handers in the lane.
Little baby hooks. Yeah.
Yeah. Jeff, I'm not talking about hugs. I'm just not. Good for him. He showed up. He talked to the team before the game. This isn't about Bob. This is what Bob wants. Bob wants to make it about Bob. So I'm not going to do that. Dylan was awesome tonight. He was. I mean, and it wasn't just the alley-oops, although it was there was a lot of lobs. It wasn't just the alley-oops. That was what was good for me.
I am of the belief that what I saw of Dan tonight was Jekyll and Hyde and continues to be Jekyll and Hyde, despite him having some big shots tonight in some big spots. I would prefer, personally, if he had less than 20 minutes as he did tonight, the rest of the foreseeable future.
Mo tweeted out a stat: 38 made field goals tonight, 39 in the previous 2 games. That sounds about right.
Dan had some absolutely insane turnovers where guys were just picking his pocket, ripping the ball out of his hands.
Well, he dribbles so high right now because he can't keep control of the ball. So he's dribbling higher, and teams are just, thank you.
That's how he practices it in his TikToks. We've all seen it.
Dan was better in the second half. I won't go as far as good, but he was moving his feet better on defense. He was a lot more attention to detail, than he was in the first half. First half, I thought he was pretty rough again, but hopefully that is the turning point for him in that second half, playing within his, physical abilities, hit the wide open three, attack the rim, do some things that you can help with. I thought he had a couple good passes. So, yeah, second half at least resembled season high, 21. Geoff, you're the best. Yeah, you're not wrong here, Drew. As soon as Dan's first move doesn't work, someone needs to go get the ball. The longer he has the ball, sheesh. That's because his best offensive threat is his first step. And if his first step's not there, then he doesn't have a whole lot of counters, right? He can catch it and go, or he can catch it and shoot it. But other than that, you don't want him and one mixtaping anybody. I'll send you my Venmo. Thanks. The second half of the second half was good for Dan. Better, but not back to what we thought he could be this year. Agreed, fake John Goebel, but I'll take progress. There was progress. It was a start. It was a start. We'll get to. I don't want to run through everybody. We're going to get to everybody here in a couple minutes.
Tonight you saw progression as a team. Tonight you saw guys that looked like they were moving in the right direction, as opposed to regression or lateral movement on the progress chart.
Yeah, that's what we've been asking for. It looked like a team that cared.
Begging.
Yeah.
Mercilessly.
CMOS got a lot of really clean looks. Agreed. Just didn't go down, but more off-ball movement. I think the off-ball movement has always been there. I think they've just been bad at actually executing the offense. So again, when you run, we talked about this a lot, Dominic. When you run actions that are supposed to produce results and you don't execute that, then the offense stalls out and you've got to kind of start over because you've gotten to the point in the offense where the action is there and either they don't get the pass right or a guy is a little bit lazy on his cut, so he's guarded, or doesn't come off the screen right. Tonight, that was a lot better. I concur. It was also against the worst defense in the conference. So I need to see. But what I mean by that is now we need to see them take that and elevate on it and take the next step against teams that are better defensively than a bad UCF defense.
Yes.
Pete Crawley, if I knew what happened to Dan, I'd be a rich guy, or at least a little richer than I am right now. This was something I was legitimately worried about D. Davis. When we get to the 3-minute and a lead, we can't sit on the ball. We tried to do it tonight, got some stops and runouts. They got steals is what they got. I think they had 3 or 4 steals in a row in that last segment where UCF was trying to rush the ball up the floor, and they got a little careless, and Cincinnati poked it away. That's what saved them from having to run 3-minute offense, which it's just not a strength of this team. Why do I think we were able to attack the basket the way they did tonight? Because UCF's not a good team defensively. They do not stay in front. They're not disciplined. They don't play great help side. They try to just rely on the fact that they have a shot blocker down there to erase mistakes. And they weren't able to erase everything tonight. So I think it was a matter of taking advantage of the scouting report. The scouting report was going to say, you can beat your man off the dribble and get to the rim. Go down there, make a play, and they did a good job of that all night.
So we saw Edgerrin James in the stands because, of course, we did. Do you think when he has headphones in during the game, he's listening to Dan and Terry? Is he listening to the broadcast on CBS Sports? Or is he just listening to rap music?
Probably rap music.
Double headphones, though?
I mean, noise canceling.
He didn't have that. He just had
he'd set the earbuds in.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe that's just for phone calls. He's probably a pretty important guy, you know. Got to be able to hear the person talking. I'll go Dan. He was listening to Dan and Terry for sure.
I'm saying Dan and Terry.
Okay. Yeah, I'll go with that. What else you want to talk about?
I don't know. I don't know that we've talked. I don't know that we've talked enough about this team defensively tonight. We can talk all we want about them scoring 93, but you did give UCF 83.
Yeah,
and you gave up two dudes scoring 20 plus. Keyshawn Hall falls just shy of the 25 that we predicted last night, ends up with 23. Darius Johnson, that dude plays kind of dirty. Yeah. I thought the refs called a pretty good game tonight, but every single drive just up here every single time.
I mean, like I said, they've got three guys, those two guys, Hall, Johnson, and Ivy Curry, that are all excellent isolation, one-on-one, you know, go get a bucket type of guys. There's not a whole lot you can do if you let them get their shoulders square and get towards the rim. The one thing I was happy with is Hall 1 of 3 from 3 and Johnson 2 of 6. Ivy was 2 of 4, but they didn't let him get a bunch of them off. So I can live with them getting twos as long as you're matching, which Cincinnati was doing. I mean, they didn't trail. They took the lead on that run in the first half and didn't trail the rest of the way, right? I think 11-14 in the first half, they took a lead, and I don't think they gave it up the rest of the way. It got tied a couple times at the end of the half, but UCF never pulled in front, and then Cincinnati led the entire second half, didn't they?
They led for 30 minutes and 3 seconds, so.
Yeah. So they led the entire second half, and they took the lead with 11 minutes to go in the first half and never relinquished. So.
Yeah, the Cincinnati only took times taking the lead one time, and it was only tied one time. So, I don't know. I mean, obviously, UCF didn't shoot well from 3, 5 of 22 for the night. I'm just a little worried. Some of the looks that they had, I still don't feel like they were necessarily greatly defended. If it had been a better shooting team from 3, I worry that a BYU or.
I mean, they're a pretty good shooting team from 3. They're up. I mean, they're at 34.4% on the season as a team after tonight. You would give your left arm if this team was shooting 34.4% from 3.
I like my arm. I don't like the Bearcats that much.
The offensive rebounds were bad. A lot of those were in the second half on jumps, long rebounds off of jump shots. There's not a whole lot you can do there when the ball is bouncing out over your head. So yeah, the offensive rebounds in the second half were annoying. I know there's a point early in the second half. I think they only had 5 or 6, and I think they got 10 in the last 7 or 8 minutes of the second half. So some of that was just UCF trying to shoot their way back into it, and the ball kind of finding UCF guys. I didn't think there were many situations, Aaron, I guess. You can disagree with me if you want. I didn't think there were many situations where it felt like they got outworked. on the glass. You know what I mean? Where like a guy's just standing and watching, and a UCF guy just goes around him and makes a play.
I mean, looking back, it doesn't feel like that, but when you lose the rebounding battle by 12, that's a lot of rebounds.
Like I said, everything was even right until the last like 8 to 10 minutes of the game. I don't, I'd have to go back and watch it a little closer and specifically focus in on that, but I didn't feel like it was effort related, if that makes sense. Like sometimes the ball just bounces to the other guys. So Bearcats showed we could beat a zone, significant improvement. Yeah, and they did it without really like shooting over it, shooting out of the zone. They did it with actual good zone offense. So that was good to see. I agree. 14-8 when Brian got home. All Bearcats after that. Thank you, BJ. Appreciate you. Yeah, that's what I said, Big John Goebel. 11:48 was the last time that UCF had a lead. And then they tied it right towards the end of the first half, and that was it. So when you score every time down the court, rebounds matter less. True story, BJ. True story. You don't get as mad about it.
I got a lot of movement on this baby monitor, so give me a minute.
Okay. Aaron's gonna go take care of the baby. I will pull up the stat sheet and we'll start going over some individual performances, visitor stats. Here we go. Of course, happy we got Aaron and not George or Brent tonight. Thank you, Top Cats. Appreciate it. Day with 20, 9 of 15 from the floor. Made one of his 2 threes, one of his 2 free throws. He had 3 rebounds, 6 assists. On a night that a lot of guys kind of felt like they were in foul trouble. He only had 2 fouls, 1 turnover. Did have an important block. Did have a steal. And really just one of the better nights from any player we've seen all season for Cincinnati. Day set the tone. Day was kind of the answer for this team, especially in the first half when it felt like they were playing well, but UCF just, they were hanging around. And especially late in that first half, it felt like Day always had the answer for the Bearcats, Aaron.
He did. And again, like we've talked about, even last night, we talked about, I don't know if this team has a guy that can hit 20.
Yeah.
Thanks for answering the bell, Day Thomas. No, his shot looked clean. Even on some of his footwork, he had some crossovers before a 3. He'd drive in the lane and create a shot that wasn't there. Just pulling up from a high percentage 2. His layups for the most part looked really good. The one layup he had was I think the announcer used otherworldly several different times when complimenting a Day play. The one layup he caught and went reverse with, that was outstanding. His assist to Aziz was incredible, where he just off the dribble winged it to Aziz down low. That might have been one of the best assists, just crazy passes of the season.
Yeah. And then a couple of those lobs to Dylan on the backside of the zone were from him too, that were just perfectly thrown. And maybe the meme of the year when he threw the first one and was like
pulling a Tobler.
Yeah.
Move on to Dylan.
Yeah, that's fine.
19 points, 9 of 14 from the field. Missed his only 3, 1 of 2 from the stripe. 2 offensive, 4 defensive, giving him 6 rebounds. He ties Aziz for the team lead. 3 assists, 1 foul, 2 turnovers, a block, a steal, 31 minutes played, came back from that knee injury, plus 14 to lead all Bearcats. And he played, he has been the one all season. So you'd love to see him at the top of this chart tonight.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Dylan is you never have to worry about his effort. You never have to worry about his buy-in. So it's good to see on a night where, everybody else kind of came back around, that Dylan was kind of the catalyst for that, because I thought he was flying all over the place. He played a lot of 5 again tonight. The only time we saw Arrington Page was when Dylan got hurt. Page checked in, and then when Dylan came back, Page checked out. And those were the only minutes all night.
Yeah. Little interesting, though, to see that. I'm good with it. I don't know how much of the minutes dispersion that we saw tonight has anything to do with Wes's comments before the game, where he said that if you weren't giving effort, you weren't going to play. He was going to take you out of the game. But
I thought effort was good pretty much across the board tonight, though. I didn't really feel.
I agree. I just wonder if that's where we're at, if we're looking at it as a whole, or what's going on. I don't know. But again, good to see him.
I will say on that front, we didn't see AP hardly at all against West Virginia either.
Nope.
He came in and had those 2 turnovers, and that was it. And Dylan played the backup 5 most of the time in that game as well. So maybe that's what we should expect over these last 9 Big 12 games.
Yeah, and I don't know if that has to do with the fact that you have a lot of times when you're running that lineup, you have both Jizzle and Day in, and you're able to run a little bit more. So I don't know if it's that or what it may be.
If you can't run with Jizzle and Day at the 1 and the 2 and Dylan at the 5, you can't run.
And it's not as if Dylan played a ton at the 5. Aziz did log 32 minutes, so that's a ton of minutes for Aziz. That might be his season high.
It's up there for sure.
It's certainly up there. But we'll see, especially if either of those 2 guys get into any type of foul trouble. You only had 2, I think. No, 3 combined fouls between Dylan and Aziz. So
yeah,
we'll see how that goes down the stretch. But if we're begging for them to push tempo, that's one way to do it.
Yeah.
Moving on to Aziz, 16.7 of 8 from the field. Incredibly efficient for him. 2 of 4 from the stripe. 2 offensive, 4 defensive, giving him 6 rebounds, again tied with Dylan. 2 assists, 2 fouls, 2 turnovers, a block, 2 steals, 32 minutes played, plus 11. And that's good for second, right behind Dylan Mitchell.
Great effort from Aziz today. Made a couple little baby hooks with his left hand. So gave you a couple. The one off the glass, I don't know if he called it or not, but it went in. But this tempo allows Aziz to be at its most effective. And when you can get up and down the floor and the defense is scrambling and you've got to find ball, then you can get the big guy in some isolation situations where you can throw it to him, even if it's not a lob. He had the one catch, power dribble and dunk tonight underneath the basket, like stuff like that, because you're not letting the defense get set and just crowd the paint. Like the lack of 3-point shooting has killed him because there's 5 guys just at all times standing with the foot in the paint. So your dunk guy isn't ever really going to get free to dunk if there's people just draped all over him at all points in time.
His first dunk was a lob, and it was reminiscent of the Aziz that we saw against Cincinnati when he was still at Utah Valley. So that's the Aziz I'm interested in seeing, the super athletic, hanging on the rim, bringing those knees up. Let's go. I don't know. I enjoy that version of Aziz far more than what we've seen here of late. So good to see him.
And
looked like his back was feeling better.
Yeah, and I think some of it too, though, Aaron. Like, it's not, people get frustrated with Aziz. It's not his fault. The team is not helping him out at all to be good at what he's good at. Like, in fact, everything they do or have done for 10 games is specifically draining any ability for Aziz to do what he's good at. So it was good to see today a little return to that so Aziz could be effective.
What happens when you play the make shots offense?
I love the make shots offense. I'm a big fan.
Jizzle James in a homecoming of sorts. 15 points, 5 of 7 from the field. Missed his only 3, 5 of 7 from the line. 3 defensive rebounds, 4 assists, 4 fouls, 2 turnovers, 2 steals, 18 minutes played. That's a lot of fouls in 18 minutes. My goodness. Plus 8.
I thought he was defending with his hands a little bit too much. And again, they're playing in isolation, and they clearly like the matchup they had, trying to go at him and getting him to, get those two-hand. Happened to Tyler Betsy once too. As soon as that second hand comes out, they're going to call the foul. You can get them with one, but as soon as that second one comes out, the whistle's going to blow.
It didn't look like Darius Johnson. It didn't look like he was good on his feet. He just fell a couple times, like twice.
There was one that I thought one I thought definitely, like the Josh one though. The Josh made contact as he was falling.
Maybe
you just let him fall.
Maybe that's the other one I'm thinking of. Maybe it was, yeah.
If you just let him fall, they're going to call travel. If he's starting to fall and you get two hands on him, he's going to fall. We'll get to Tyler in just a minute, Natty Ron.
But in any case, I don't know. Again, Jizzle looked aggressive. He looked confident.
And he also, at the key moment in the game, had a 6-0 stretch where going into that under 4 timeout where it looked like Central Florida was going to make a push. They were going to get this thing down to 4 or 5 points, and they were going to make it a question. And then Jizzle scores 6 in a row, and all of a sudden everybody could take a breath and kind of, all right, I think we got this.
Well, that's in the last 2 games, he's got 18 and 15. So I'm thoroughly enjoying this version of Jizzle. This is what we wanted to see out of him. Plus the 4 assists, good on him. Moving on to Tyler Betsy, 8 points, 3 of 5 from the field, 2 of 4 from 3. Again, hits 2 of the 5 threes that Cincinnati hit tonight. 3 fouls, 12 minutes, plus 6.
Made 2 big shots, and especially the first one off of a miss. Cincinnati gets the offensive rebound, moves it right back to him. He's 2 steps deeper than he was on the one he missed, and just confidently banged it. And then the second one again on the left side. He made the first one from the right side, second one on the left side. The guy kind of in his vicinity, but hand down, man down. And Tyler was just like, all right, you're going to let me shoot it from here? I'll shoot it from here. Bang.
Yeah. He looks like, again, this is 2 games in a row where he's looked more comfortable with the offense. But we want to see.
And then he made it 2. Pump fake, dribbled, got into his right hand, got to about the 15-foot mark and hit it 2.
I guess I just want him to see him doing a little bit more to fill up the stat sheet.
That is really hard for a guy that you're using for spacing. Now, here's the other thing you have to remember, Aaron. When you're using that guy for spacing, Tyler's just standing there. Yeah, he's standing there because his man can't leave him. So that brings his guy out, and they can't really come off of him. So now that he's starting to shoot better, you should start to see him create a little bit more spacing in the offense. His job is to shoot.
I'm more so of the defensive side of the ball, where if you're able to get a deflection or a rebound or a steal, something.
He's got to work on right now. Teams are picking on him because he is quick with that second hand. to get that foul, teams are picking on him. And he is, I mean, you could see there was one point, I think it was Hall, who, as soon as Tyler came in, Hall's standing on the baseline, the ball's out top, and he's like, hey, mouse in the house, I got him. Like, he's on me. And they ran an action, got the ball, and then he drew the foul. And until he gets to the point, I think, where the defense is kind of second nature to him, I'm okay with him not worrying about rebounds and some of the other stuff. He's got to figure out the footwork and hand placement before we advance. Like, he's got to pass 101 defense before we can get to 201 defense. That's my only defense. I agree with you. I'm just saying he's still got like a C in 101, and we need to get him up to like a B before we can move him to 201.
Yeah, three fouls in 12 minutes is wild.
They're targeting him. Like, it's going to happen until he gets better, and they should target him until he gets better.
We've seen it at points of this season with AP as well. So
yeah.
Moving on, Dan Skilling's 8 points, 3 of 5 from the field, hits his only 3 and his only free throw, 3 defensive rebounds, an assist, a foul, 3 turnovers, and 17 minutes played, -3 for Dan. One of only 2 Bearcats. Turnovers. One of only 2 Bearcats with a minus, and the most minus.
And I would guess that was in the first half, largely because he had 3 turnovers, I think, in 5 minutes of action.
Just
in the first half.
Turnovers.
Yeah. Very dumb.
Anything else on Dan? I know we've talked about him in several segments here.
Just those were 6 important points. And hopefully that is something that gets him back dialed in, that this team needs him. He's supposed to be one of the 2 or 3 best players. This team cannot be good if he stinks. So maybe he's not going to reach, like, honorable mention all conference status at this point. Maybe. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that's probably not going to happen. But if he can just get back to not, like, sucking the life out of the team when he's on the floor, it's a positive.
I'm going to leave that alone. Nemas, 7 points, 2 of 7 from the field, 1 of 6 from 3, 2 of 3 from the line, 1 defensive rebound, 2 assists, a foul, 2 steals, 28 minutes played, +4.
He's got to start banging the open looks, man. He had 2 or 3 of them tonight where the shot fake, relocation, clean look, and just missed. I mean, he had one that fortunately it didn't cost them, but I think UCF had gotten it to 6, and Simas had a wide open 3 that would have pushed it back to 9 and kind of, eliminated any hope, and he missed it. Like, that's the stuff right now. They have got to get him knocking in the easy ones. And I don't know if it's a matter of, like, trying to be perfect because you're never open. So when you do get open, like, you're guiding it in maybe a little bit. But he has got to get back to knocking down the open ones, and that should open up everything else.
Well, if he's not making shots defensively, I wouldn't call him, I don't know that liability is the right word, but he doesn't give you a ton defensively. He doesn't give you much in the way of rebounds. So if you're not making shots, you gotta figure out something.
This has been my problem with him, fake John Goble, for the past, like, 3 or 4 games, is he'll make a mistake and then immediately, like, it's something one of my coaches when I was younger would always, like, 1 mistake won't kill you, but 2 will. And what he meant by it was everybody makes a mistake. But if you're in your head and you start making more mistakes to try to correct or make up for the first mistake, you're going to screw up everything. So you have to let it go. You can't have that in your brain of, like, I got to get it back. You're not going to get it back. That's not how it works. That play already happened. It's over. He's got to get out of his mind, when he makes one mistake, he compounds it with 2 and 3. And next thing you know, the West Virginia game's a perfect example. That game was close 8 minutes into the game. Dan made like 3 mistakes in a row, and all of a sudden they go on a 20-5 run that was sparked by him trying to do too much. He's got to get back to just playing in the flow of the game and not trying to force stuff.
I concur. Nobody else scored. So real quick, CJ Frederick, 1 rebound, 13 minutes played plus 6.
He almost got the 13 trillion, Aaron. If it wasn't for that rebound.
Josh Reed, 0 for 3 from the field, 0 for 1 from 3, 4 fouls, a block, a steal, 10 minutes played. That's crazy. 10 minutes, 4 fouls.
How about back to CJ real quick? 13 minutes played, only the 1 rebound, but plus 6. The offense is just better with him on the floor. He's decisive. He doesn't stall it out. He spaces the defense. They're just better offensively when he's on the floor.
Ray, 0 for 1, 1 offensive, 1 defensive rebound, giving him 2 rebounds in 3 minutes played, minus 1. I'm not sure why he didn't see more minutes.
Yeah, I mean, he had a couple rebounds when he was in. I mean, I guess it's hard to argue with something that was working. I think, if they were struggling, probably would have seen him more. But right now, he's still the guy that's at the back of the rotation, fighting his way in. And they didn't have the issues that they had against West Virginia that opened the door for him to get on the floor a little bit more. Maybe I would like to have seen a rotation in the second half when Josh was in foul trouble. Maybe you buy a rotation for Ray in that situation. I think the problem, though, being, Aaron, if we're being perfectly honest, with what we saw from UCF offensively and the way that they were, like I said, their offenses, we got 3 one-on-one dudes. One of them is going to have a bad matchup. We're going to throw it to that guy, and he's going to go. And I think they would have identified Ray as, let's go at him. And I'd have to go back and look. They might have done that. Where he fouls more than Tyler does. So, I wonder if that was kind of the reasoning behind that, is that they were afraid that UCF is so good at just getting guys on an island and attacking it that maybe they didn't want to leave him in that situation.
I know I saw in the chat here, play Ray over CMOS. I think even if CMOS is missing shots, he is at least running out there as a decoy, if nothing else. He's drawing attention.
Defenders, yeah.
And Ray is not going to be occupying one of the best, if not the best defender on the court. So we'll see what happens. But I'm with you. If you're going to take somebody's minutes, I think you probably could have taken some of Josh's minutes tonight for Ray. But
yeah. What did I do? Come on, Chad. What did I do?
I don't know. And then to wrap things up on the individuals, Arnson Page, he had 1 minute played. That's his entire stat line.
Yeah. More Ray love. I love Ray. I think Ray has a chance to give them a lot as we go down the backstretch of this season. I just think against this matchup in particular, this is a tough one for Ray in terms of the way UCF wants to play offense. They do it fast, they do it decisively, and they go right at you. And I don't think he's there yet against 3 guys that can score at the rate those 3 guys can score.
The minutes for Ray have to come at a cost of CJ Frederick or Josh Reed or Tyler Betsy, not from anybody in the starting 5. Currently.
Yeah. Page is in a rough spot. His effort's not great, and they're a team that is struggling with effort.
I don't even know that it's the effort. It's been the skill. It's been pull your head out of your ass, pass the ball. You can't dribble 4-6 times when you're trying to back somebody down, especially when they send a second defender at you.
Yeah. I don't think his effort's great.
Know your scouting report.
That is a big part of life, Aaron. It's my key teaching moment as a parent in life. Kid, you got to know your scouting report.
But I think Page. I don't think it's lack of effort. I think it's just that he's gotten in his own way.
I don't think his effort's great.
Well, in that 1 minute, he did have a deflection. He altered a shot at the rim. Look, hey, you got 1 fucking minute. I don't know what else you wanted out of him in 1 fucking minute.
I'm not talking about tonight in general. I'm talking about why his minutes are reducing, because his effort hasn't been great on a team that has had an effort problem. I'm not talking about tonight. That's why he only played 1 minute. I'm talking about that's why they're starting to give Aziz longer stretches and they're playing Dylan more at the 5, is because Page has not been a great effort guy when he's been on the floor. I know it's tantalizing because once every 3 games, he makes a move with his back to the basket that nobody else on the team can do. But defensively, on the glass, up and down the floor, like, I don't think he's a big effort guy at this point.
Dylan was making those moves tonight against a guy who has about 35 pounds on him. So
he was.
I was pleased to see it. Pleased as punch.
I was. AP had mono last year when he was at USC, so he was sick. Yeah.
Anyway, good Lord. Joe is obsessed with who's not coming back next year. My goodness.
Joe, if you want to stay in the chat, let it go. Let it go. Let it go. We will have plenty of time. Look, here's the thing that's different about us than all the other people that do this stuff out there. Everybody else, when the basketball season ends, they stop. They quit podcasting. They quit being here for the people. We don't do that. We're still here 6 nights a week. Every week, 52 weeks out of the year. So we'll get to that stuff. Right now, the Bearcats won 93-83, and we're talking about that.
Anyway, I don't know that I have really anything else. I feel good about it. I guess if we look at some of the stats we like to point out, 16 bench points, 56 points in the paint, 18 points off turnovers. You only had 10 turnovers tonight as a team. That's pretty good. 12 to 21 layups stinks, but you had 14 fast break points. You had 13 second chance points on 7 rebounds, almost 2 per rebound. Not bad.
They had 17 offensive rebounds, but only 16 points. Cincinnati had 7 offensive rebounds and 13 points. So you did get kind of your butt kicked on the defensive glass, but they only outscored you by 3. They had 10 more offensive rebounds and 3 more second chance points.
1.257 points per possession on your 74 possessions. So, and you scored on 60.8%.
Yeah.
So,
all right.
Anyway,
that's gonna wrap
good
it
here.
Up. We're good. It's like 10:15 and we're done. The hell's happening around here? Gonna maybe get to sleep at a decent hour tonight. How about that? Thank you, everybody, for tuning in and making us the choice of post-game Bearcat podcasts on the internet. We will see you for this show. We'll see you Sunday or Saturday. Aaron, by the way, tomorrow night, I want to see your reaction. Come back real quick.
Yeah.
Tomorrow night on the BBP, Zach Grant.
BCJ.
Or BCJ pod. Zach Grant. Jack Griffin.
I love Jack.
First time we get Jack on the pod. So this might be an all-timer. This might be an all-timer.
Does Stipe know?
Yes.
And he okayed it?
Yep.
He's got to be
excited.
Does he have fingernails left?
He's gonna be nervous. He's got to be nervous. But we get Jack and Zach tomorrow night to talk some football recruiting. So
let's go.
Looking forward to that. It's a win. Everybody sleeps happy. Bearcats 93, Central Florida Knights of Gold 83. That's the aftermath. Live from the Cincy Light Studios, brought to you by Mio's Pizza, right here by BearcatJournal.com.
See ya!